Mario Lonte NFT here. And this video will be about all the NFTs essentially I sold too early. Basically, paper-handed is the term. At the time, I was just trying to 2x to flip to get to my B-friend in August. And then for the rest of the month, I just decided to continue the 2x thing because it was working. And then in September and October is when I kind of changed my strategy a little bit. But yeah. All right. So my first paper hand NFT would have been the Dystopian Punks. This was a version 2. So I purchased them for 0.09 and went for the 2x. But Pranksy ended up buying this one. The floor on these ended up going near 4 Ethereum for this collection. I purchased the second one after I sold the first one. And I got impatient. And sure enough, not even a month later, they mooned. So that was a nice chunk of change that I missed out on. It was around $13,000 if I would have just held kind of thing. I minted some cool cats and I tried to trade up the cool cats. Now this is a funny story. You can see here. Oh, minted it, sold it right away for. I just wanted to kind of trade up for a rare one. That was the plan. Just going for the 2x's while trying to trade up at the same time. You see here, another one. I was trying to trade up for a rare one. So here I didn't quite get the 2x. My son woke up from his nap, took him to my mother's house, had a fantastic evening. When we came back, the floor was around 0.26 or something like that, 0.3 maybe. There was a lot of rumors about Mike Tyson buying in, and I was priced out at that point. And sure enough, the next day he tweeted this, and the floor was 0.4. I was out of reach. Gorilla Nemesis. This was a solid it was a promising project with the very good art, good concept. It just didn't have enough noise behind it yet. This was the time when okay, so I got impatient a little bit, wasn't moving as fast as I wanted to, but Art Chick bought it off me, which made me then purchase a second one. However, I definitely got impatient and I ended up just letting it go for a loss. This did move up to about 0.3 in October, which would have been a nice, like, $1,000 gain right there. The Crypto Funks, I purchased one of these. It was kind of like one of those things where like they were getting a lot of attention. They were getting a little bit of play, but too much attention to ignore. So I just bought one and I let it go right away. They ended up getting pulled the next day off of OpenSea. And sure enough, they made their own website and they bounced back in around December. Here you go. They're around an ETH, so $3,000, $4,000. And then the rare one's going for a lot more. Or the Woman was an interesting one as well. Minted one for 0.07. Gary V was talking about this project, so it was moving a little bit. I decided to let this one go. I minted another one after. I was still playing the 2x game here, so yeah. This was the other one I minted, just letting it go for 2x. Now, I was also involved in the metas at the time, so I think I jumped back into the metas, and then I jumped back into the World of Women. I knew I saw they were still moving, and I saw the potential, so I bought back in. And again, I was just going for the 2x's at the time because I was flipping to a befriend. And this was my last one that I purchased for 1 ETH, let it go next day for 1.4. Now the floor for the World of Women dropped, so I actually did time this perfectly. The World of Women floor dropped to like 0.7, 0.8 for about 2 weeks, and then it shot back up to about 3 ETH, maybe 4 ETH, somewhere around there. So essentially, if I would have so by the end of August, I went to 4 ETH, which was around $12,000, $13,000. And then by January, which was the second bull run, the big pump is when they hit the 10 ETH mark. And that's when they were worth around $33,000. So, just hindsight, obviously, if I would have held all these, that would have been a nice chunk of change, right? Like, if I wasn't just trying to 2x, or if situation was different. But that's the beauty about this space. I still made profits, so I'm still happy. I still reached my goals. Uh, the people that ended up buying these ones ended up are the ones that took profits and made well. Like this gentleman here made a leash, made some profits on this one. Same thing with the Punchy Penguins. This one was a little bit different because of Cool Ethereum's reputation. I was still unsure, so I was trying to play more safe. I minted this one. Let it. They were 0.03. Let it. The floor wasn't moving as fast as I could, so I was just again charged. I was trying not to lose ETH. So if I purchased something at 0.03 and if the floor wasn't moving quick enough, or if it thought that it was gonna go below 0.03, then I would just take my losses and try and get out before it was too late, before it went to 0.01. And I think that fear came from the Super Yetis and a few other projects that I invested in. Going from 0.1 to like 0.01, or 0.2, 0.3 to like 0.05, like things like that. So the mentality of it at the time, like there's a lot going on, right? Uh, but again, I was still trying to do my thing. Yeah, so I sold that one for, I guess, almost, well, I guess 1.5x, right, with everything said and done. I bought back in, and I let this one go because I got scared. I think I got really scared because of his reputation. This is when it wasn't moving again as quick as I thought it was. Then they ended up moving. I bought back in because I thought that there was another opportunity, and I was right. I flipped, and then that's when I decided to get out because I didn't want to be caught with a Pudgy Penguin. Like this is where I thought, like, but then the whole times thing, and of course they went parabolic after a little bit, because by the end of August they were actually worth $9,000, $10,000. Pretty crazy. Robotos were another solid project that I got a chance to mint. Again, I made out good in this one. If I would have just held a little bit longer, I would have made out better. One of those things, right? Here's another one. This one didn't go as high as the other ones. Yeah, they went like around 1.5 mark, so like around the $4,000 mark. So still a pretty big gain potential there. Now I mentioned one of these. The story was very compelling, and like I enjoyed it, but again, still trying to do my thing, right? And so it was, the min price was 0.06942. I just sold it right away. These ended up going to around 3.5 in December. I won 3 of them from the giveaway on their 4-year anniversary back in May. And they were finally getting the attention that they deserved, which was really nice. I decided to kind of take advantage of it as much as I could. I paper handed this one for just because I already had, so I had 2 of the Mona Lisas, and I wanted to diversify it. So I just basically traded this one for the berries. I saw the berries at 0.02. I snapped that up real fast. I ended up selling that one for a nice gain. I bought this one in, sold that one for a gain. This was another one that I won from a giveaway. I just let it go. Again, a little too early on these, like in hindsight. And then this was my last, because I had 2 of these. So this is my last one that I sold when it was moving. All in all, for example, like the Mona Lisa went to, I think, around 3.3 ETH. So again, like in that $9,000, $10,000 range, give or take. These ones didn't go as high, but they were still in they were over an ETH, right? So could have been all nice gains. Actually, this is the funny part. Gary V actually ended up going into this project after I was already holding it. Rebel Bots, I minted this one thinking that it was going to be a good one. Very promising team and everything, but again, just got impatient. These moved to about 0.3. Yeah, and 0.5 in February. That's right, 0.5 in February. Again, so that one's not as crazy, right? But just goes to show you, sometimes holding is the right play, and just waiting for it to move, and then you sell it to maximize. It all depends on your circumstances, of course. Now I purchased these ones from a. There's a lot of noise about this one. This was when the gaming again was getting a little bit more noise. The metaverse was getting a little bit more noise at the time. Purchased this one, but I got impatient, and it's funny because it literally moved right after, shortly after I sold it. It must have been two weeks after I sold it. It started, yeah, it moved to like about an ETH around $3,000. So that was a whoops moment. Now the fluff world was interesting as well. Minted one again, wasn't 100% sure about these, but they ended up moving. So I should have minted a lot more. But again, just trying to flip to a V-friend. So again, just trying to maximize my gains. Didn't want to get caught with anything, right? So when they moved, I sold. They were continuing to move, so I bought back in, sold again. These were like the same day kind of sales, and I bought another one and sold it. This sold like the next day, and so I didn't have any more fluffs. And sure, the next day, if I would have just held just one of them, right, I could have sold for 2 ETH because they pumped that hard. It was pretty wild, and then in December is when they started moving again. January, and then yeah, in January, the second bull run of 2022, they hit the 9 Ethereum mark, which was $27,000. It's fun though. It's fun going through these things and just kind of seeing like what you held at one point and seeing how much value you could have made. A biopill, I purchased one of these as well. Again, it still made the gain. Yeah, 2x gain there, but these ended up moving as well. I believe over an ETH. Yeah, so they were around $3,000, $4,000 at one point. I touched a lot of dead fellas. I really like this project, and they kind of had the similar vibes to the Cool Cats, Animeta, World of Woman, like the terms of like hype and movement. So I really liked them, and like it was clean art. The community was really nice. Everybody was really nice. This was after I already achieved flipping to my V friend. So at this point, I was just trying to, I was going to continue trading to see if to make it work like as my full time job because I loved it. I loved everything about it, and everything was going so well. I kind of already made the decision though back in July that I was gonna be a full time trader, but this was like really to like, I guess my options are open. I didn't really have any goals or anything. I was still trying to profit as much as I can because it's thought to pay the bills at the end of the day. But I was having a little bit more fun with this. Yeah, so I minted this one, let it go right away. Purchased this one, went for a 2x on that one. And you'll see I'm probably traded up on most of these. Yeah, I just probably try to continue that 2x cycle because it was working so well. My thought process was to go back to the cool cast to try and trade it for a rare one and try and like kind of maximize that gain. So right here, so like when you go for a rare one, sometimes you can get a bigger gain than a 2x. So that's what, like, again, that's like my thought process behind it. And then I think this is when the floor finally took a hit for the first time, the first correction. But I started getting nervous, I think, and I didn't like this one fully, but because I ended up buying this one, I think it was a slightly rarer, and just kind of got out because it wasn't the hype kind of like left a little bit. But again, if I would have just held hindsight, Dead Fellas War. Yeah, so it did take a little bit longer. So yeah, by the end of September is when they hit the 1 Ethereum mark. So if I would have held for about a month, and then the second bull run in January is when they hit the 4 ETH mark. Again, I think Gary Vee started talking about them, so they really moved. So $9,000, $10,000 in that range. If I would have held all of these, that would have been a very nice gain. Cybercoins, I minted 3 of these. Same mentality, just going for profits. I knew I had a feeling that I wanted to hold one of these because of Cyberkong. The original collection, the OG collection, was so successful. The people in there were great. They were very kind. I always got along with them whenever I popped in there. whenever I had a chance to pop in there. I minted 3, and I took profits on all 3. I was going to hold. I was trying to hold my last one for the pump because I had a feeling it was coming, and sure enough, it happened 18th. Yeah, it was the next day. Wow. So so this is how early I sold it. Then the very next day is when they moved to around 1 Ethereum. By August 21st, they moved to 2 Ethereum floor. So I sold it just by a day early, a couple days early on my other one, on my last one, which again, so like this strategy, okay, so now I remember correctly. I bought 3 of them with the intentions of selling one to cover my costs. So these 2 were in for free. Then I was going to wait with these 2 um, until it moved. And then I think I got impatient. I wanted to use that 0.35 towards something else. So I sold the one, and then I got impatient again, sold this one. And then sure enough, the next day is when it moved. That was a real hit. It was one of those like, wow, I should have just stuck to my original plan. Now there's a lot of noise about Subducks on the move again. They were doing a lot of good things. Frankie Nine is a good person. I always enjoyed him. Always had good interactions. So I bought in. It was on a dip. This was like it was pretty quiet at this time. They already palmed. They did their thing. So they were back on like a little dip. So I bought in, and then I sold it for a nice flip. Now if I would have held for about a month, I would have made, yeah, they pumped to around 4 ETH, so I would have made $12,000 instead of $3,000. Again, not complaining. I still made a really nice gain here. Again, just goes to show though how much the max potential gain can be if you just hold it until things move. Unfortunately, it does not happen to every project. It only happens to very, very very well established projects, very good teams, very good communities. They got to be building something behind the scenes. There's got to be whales that believe in them, that kind of gets the floor moving and stuff. And again, the attention kind of trickles through Twitter, right? Future World was another solid project, sold too early by a day. Again, I'm not mad about this one because I still made a nice gain, but they did end up moving to, I believe, here, let me check. Yeah, they were 3 Ethereum plus by by the end of September. So a month early on that one. I believe, just a couple days after they went to an ETH, around an ETH 1.5, because I couldn't buy back in. There was still a lot of attention and hype on this one. So I just kind of missed out on that run. I remember that specifically. Monkey Bet DAO. This was a quick 2x in and out. The next day it moved again. Again, this is more of an example, is like it's very hard to time the top, and it's very like, it's you get faced with the decisions every time like you buy an NFT and it moves on you. Now you have a decision to make, like, do you sell and take profits, or do you hold and hope that it continues to rise, right? So it's like in this scenario, I just wanted to take the money, and I did think that 0.3, I did think this was going to correct. I thought this was like, the pump, and I was wrong. The next day it doubled again. It went around to 0.6, which was around $1,000 gain. Not the end of the world. I still made a lot of money on this one. But then again, a couple days after, it actually ended. I never got back to that 0.6 mark. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Woody's passport, I just sold too early. I minted this one. I let it go instantly. Yeah, it was still a nice gain, but the Woody's pumped to about 0.87 about 2 weeks after I sold it. So again, just selling a little. So like it's hard to time the top, right? So when things are moving and moving and moving, it's hard to say like when to sell before it starts to go back down. I mean, there's tools out there to kind of help you out with that stuff. At the time, I was not using anything. I was just using basically Twitter, Discord, OpenSea. I wasn't using any tools at all. On-chain monkeys was one that I got into pretty early as well. Again, just went for the 2x. Nothing crazy. I do remember wanting to buy back in this one, but I just never did. It was one of those things, and they ended up moving. Sure enough, they were yeah, in January they ended up hitting the 1 Ethereum, and in February they hit the 4 Ethereum, which was like $10,000. Would have been a nice gain as well. And then my last example here, this was more of a random NFT. I don't even remember who it was. A trustworthy person on Twitter that was talking about this project. So I was like, you know what? I'll just buy into it. Why not? Uh, I went after a rare one. Like it was 0.02 above floor or whatever at the time. And when it was moving, I sold it. Thought it was great, but this project floor ended up going to an Ethereum, which was $4,000 in November. So when I sold mine in October. When did I buy this? Yeah, September. Sold it in October, and then in November. So it was like about a month later, it went to an Ethereum. Yeah. So if I would have just this again, if I was a perfect trader and I just held everything and waited until it moved, the max potential profits I could have made on just these NFTs alone, just from June to September, would have been around $700,000 US, and that's not including like all the airdrops you get, right? Uh, with that kind of stuff. If I would have just held, right? If I was a trader, or if I would have sold at the top and all this stuff, right? I still did take around $70,000 in profits during this time. That's in 4 months. 4 months to meet $70,000. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty mind blowing. I basically made this video just wanting to show you that, yeah, trading NFTs is definitely a very emotional game. Um, a lot of it is speculative. A lot of it is a lot of it is hindsight 2020. Like, right, you're gonna kick yourself. You're gonna you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna sell too early. You're gonna hold on to things and not sell at all, and then miss the pump, right? And then you're just gonna be you're gonna have to wait until the next time the market gets going again. And there's all sorts of things that sometimes you need money, so you need to cash out, right, to pay some bills, right? There's so many different things. At the end of the day, very volatile. I would say invest with money you can afford to lose, of course. Um, and definitely, if you're making gains and you're selling too early, at the end of the day, who really cares? Because yeah, you're still making gains, right? And you're getting to do something you enjoy doing, right? Hopefully, that's the case. It's obviously the ones that I sell for like more of like a wash or a loss that end up moving. Those ones are a little bit more like the oops, like I kind of made a mistake. I misread that call or whatever have you, right? I saw an opportunity elsewhere. Thought I could get in, make the money, get back in. Just that things didn't work out right. There's so many different scenarios that could happen. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something here today. Have a great day.